And everybody.
I see it.
What's up?
Tapping in. What's going on, gentlemen?
Same old. Y'all know me.
Same old for us, but not so much for everyone else. What's up, everybody? We tapping in, running our first live stream, coming to y'all on the dialogue. Got the Christian Coalition over here. Just want to get into it right quick. We're going to talk about the word, the truth, the struggle, the message today. We're going to jump into Isaiah 53. So we just want to welcome everybody who's tuning in on our live stream. This is A1, day one of our live stream, but we have actually been engaging in this dialogue for how long now?
2.5 years, 3 years?
No,
Yeah.
3.
What do you mean no?
Yeah,
three and some change. 4.
Really?
No,
You've been on for 1 or 2.
No, I have not been on for 1 or 2. It's been longer than that for me.
Man.
Yeah, it's been a while. So we just decided recently that with the help of some great friends of ours on the channel, that we were going to put this thing on live stream and try to engage as many other people in this dialogue as possible. And just to give a fair warning to all you guys that are listening in, this is a realistic biblical discussion. So as not to get confused with an apologetic, a sermon, or even what may be considered a traditional Bible study. We have a very real, very raw dialogue in this circle. We talk about realistic things as it pertains to life and the gospel. And so in this circle, we feel free to disagree, to agree, to argue, to challenge, to question, and do all the things that we should be doing as a Christian community and group of believers. And we do talk about realistic struggles, so we don't try to keep it whitewashed with the very friendly approach to things like using the word hell and darn, but we actually talk about real life stuff. So this is not probably a good chat for anybody who's got faint of heart or for very young kids. This is an adult conversation for individuals dealing with real life issues that want to have real life dialogue. So if that sounds like you, by all means, jump on in, participate, throw us a chat, man. Shoot some comments, ask questions, and engage. Otherwise, sit back, kick back, relax, and hopefully you learn something. That having been said, would you gentlemen like to jump in here and introduce yourselves?
Who first?
Whoever wants to take it first.
Well, you, Gusto, let's go.
That will be me. Okay. Hello, everyone. I don't know what's about to happen, but my name is William. I've known Tone and Ren. Tone the longest. Ren met him how much? I can't even go back.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, whatever. And of this circle, Dave is the newest.
Doug, you mean?
Doug is the newest.
Gusto. That and say like 6 months. I've been
Whoa.
with you guys for like a week.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
That was
Anyways,
that hurts my feelings, Gusto.
You gonna get me back later, so it's all green. Later, I'm gonna let you know you hurt my feelings.
I'm gonna get you back later.
Later, I'm gonna let you know you hurt my feelings. So I'm the wild card. All right, I'm probably gonna be the first to say some things that will offend. It's not to offend. It's just me. I do a lot of. I have a different. I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible, and I believe a lot of the principles of the Bible. But I have a very different outlook on life. I have a very different outlook on relationships. God's presence in my life. It's just.
oh, there he goes.
And he has a very different outlook on his internet capabilities.
The Holy Spirit shutting him down. Like you said enough tonight, sir.
God just said, he done.
Okay, we're done. So they done canceled us already.
All right, there you go. You back.
Okay. But my faith is strong. I was raised by a very God-fearing and God-loving mother. So it's in here, but it's a straight path. But me, I like to go this way and then come back over here. They go back over here. They go back over here. Eventually, I'm gonna get there, but it's going to take some time. And that's where these gentlemen come in. They help keep me. Help keep me right, keep me focused on where I should be going. But every now and then, we like to argue, and I like to challenge, and I like to buck the system. So, all who have any direct questions for me, send them to me. I'll try my best to answer them. But there's going to be a good chance that y'all going to, at some point, anybody listening going to be like, that guy Gusto needs help.
Good to go.
So I'm done.
Find out. Next.
Go ahead, Doug.
I'm Dave, apparently.
See, there you go.
I'm Dave.
Dave today.
No, I'm Doug. I'm the token white guy. These guys had to meet a quota, I believe. That's why I'm on here.
Sounds about right.
No, I met these guys a few years ago, and Gusto, you're wrong, because the house that I'm in, I've been in for 2.5 years, and we started this about 8 months before I moved into this house. So it's probably going on a little over 3 years that I've been with you guys in the Bible study. So I know Gusto, he's like, yeah, I don't know who this guy is. He just showed up like a week ago, Dave. But yeah, right. But yeah, joined these guys a few years ago. I love it. It's super real. We don't mess around. I mean, we keep it real, and we're talking about stuff. This isn't your normal Bible study. My wife's always saying it doesn't sound like a Bible study. There's cursing and yelling, and usually you guys are talking about Gusto and the weird stuff he does, But no, I think everybody will enjoy this. So glad you guys are joining us.
All right, I guess that's up on me. So I'm Ren, and let's see, how do we get into this? Well, to begin with, the dialogue. This truly started as just kind of an experiment and a reason for us that know each other from across the country to get on the horn, kind of make it biblically based. But it was really a men's Bible study originally, and it was a chance for us to kind of fellowship together. We are all in different areas for the most part, but we kind of just wanted to base it around the word. Tone's the leader of this group. He's the one who's really deep into it, followed by Doug. And Gusto and I are out here kind of like holding on the outside. I'm not that in depth with my word. I've been probably back into getting into church. Just about 2018, 2019. But yeah, this is primarily where I do all my reading, all my studying is in this. So there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of arguing. And we are, like I said, we just kind of keep it real with each other. We talk like we would talk normally. It's just we try to wrap it around, kind of getting ourselves straight. So let's get it going.
That's what it is. And so I just want to apologize on night one. We are coming in about 30 minutes late, working on some technical difficulties. We're pretty excited about this opportunity, but it did not come without its setbacks. So as we delve into this thing, we want to make sure we keep the main thing. With things that have been mentioned or demonstrated, I know there's going to be a lot of challenges, like, why do some people use vulgarity when discussing the gospel, or why whatever, because we're not perfect. And where some people may deem that as an excuse, that's fine. We're beholden to the Most High God, not to anybody else. So we have a realistic conversation with realistic language pertaining to realistic problems. Why? Because 9 times out of 10, most of us go to church, or we go to some type of function, and we don't feel like much of the communication there is as honest as it could be. A lot of times it's dressed up as very prim and very proper. I personally have sat outside with people in the streets who've known more about the Bible than a lot of people who've been in some of these buildings. And we've had very realistic conversations with them, chugging on bottles, smoking cigarettes, and all the while telling the truth and not being in any form of denial as to what it is they're doing or who it is they worship. So we want to bring that in-house. And again, if this is the place for you, we welcome you. We appreciate all insight, all challenges, all questions, everything. We are not the touchy type that feels like anything that in any way, form, or fashion is conflicting with what we say or do is a matter of judgment. I think today that term is used probably a little too loosely when it comes to people trying to seek answers and even help each other improve. So, by all means, man, bring the criticism, whatever it is. We just ask that you bring it in love and that you keep it realistic. But with that having been said, let's go ahead and crack this thing open with the word of prayer. This evening, we're going to tackle Isaiah 53, which good old Doug brought up a couple weeks ago. And I apologize, Doug. It's taking us a couple weeks to get to Isaiah.
Nah, we were having some good conversation. I'm all right.
Yeah,
We talked about some good stuff last week.
right on. So before we touch this off, again, all those that are joining us, we look to expand, the width and breadth of the faith by magnifying God's word. So we just ask, however it is you recognize God, that you recognize Him along with us. Father, we give you all thanks and praise this evening as you have allowed us to magnify our reaches as we go out to continue to be weapons of righteousness, or to be lights in the door. We ask, Heavenly Father, that you would open up our minds and open up our hearts, that we would receive you and that we would reflect the love and all the mercy that you have shown us. Heavenly Father, allow your wisdom to flow in and through us, that we may reach other people, that they may also reach us. We ask that you would bring us together as a strong, reinforced body of your Lord, your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. And in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So with that, Dougie Fresco, you called this one out, brother. And this is, I think this is going to be a great kickoff to this new live stream going into Isaiah 53. But since this is your baby, I'm going to ask you to lead us into this.
I'm actually we're gonna start in Isaiah 52. Oddly enough, because looking into this, if you back up into Isaiah 52:13, I kind of wonder why they didn't include this in Isaiah 53 all one together, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to start reading off on this on Isaiah 52:13. I'm reading from the New King James Version because I think pretty much all of us are going to be reading out of that, except for you, Gusto, right?
Yes, so I'm ESV.
So yell at me if I need to back up, Gusto, if it's not matching up. All right, so I'm going to start off. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. Just as many were astonished at you, so his visage was marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations. Kings shall shut their mouths at him, for what had not been told them they shall see, and what they had not heard they shall consider. So on to Isaiah 53. Who has believed our report? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or comeliness, and when we see him, there is no beauty that we should desire. He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. So just stopping right there, guys. What are your thoughts on everything, starting with that very first verse? I mean, what do you guys get out of that? And just so you know, and the reason I wanted to go over this is because I wanted to get everybody's opinion on Isaiah 53.
Well, so there are a couple of things I want to point out real quick, backing up in Isaiah 52, and keeping in mind this is very interesting because now our conversation contains people who are not necessarily up on where we are in our communication. So I may I may be a little more expressive than normal just because I'm keeping in mind that there may be somebody else who does not understand where we're at right now. But one of the things I want to point out in 13 is we obviously know who he's talking about, right? God is speaking to his people, but who God is speaking about when he talks about his servant, that he's talking about Christ, and that he's giving the description of Christ when he talks about my servant shall deal prudently and he shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. Obviously, what he's talking about is not Christ's position on the earth, but Christ's position overall. Because we know that when he came, as it later on says, that there is no beauty that we should desire him, right? That he didn't come as somebody who was gorgeous or that he had status, but that he came very humble. Yet his position was still that among the angels. So it's just as many as are astonished at you, so his visage was marred more than anyone, that he was beaten, right? Even to the point that his own mother wouldn't identify or be able to have identified his face. That his form more than the sons of men. And so shall you sprinkle many nations with his blood. Kings shall shut their mouths at him, right? And that he had not been told them, or that what had not been told them, they shall see. Understanding the wisdom, spiritual wisdom that would arrive, that would come through spirit, not through word of mouth. And what they had not heard, they shall consider. So right now, I believe Isaiah is already forecasting the arrival of Christ and his effect.
I just wonder why did they separate? Because I know that the original version of this wasn't separated by verse and chapter, but why for like the new King James version, and I don't know, when did they do this? When did they start these translations? Why did they separate Isaiah 52 from 53? Because to me, when I was looking at it, I was like, why is this in Isaiah 52 when it seems like it all should be in Isaiah 53?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I've read a few different translations, and I've seen different paragraph breaks in various translations in different places. And sometimes I question it. Other times I just default to, as long as the word itself is not changed.
Whenever I was looking at this, when I suggested it, I looked at it and I was like, why is this back here? I don't know. I thought maybe you guys had some insight into that.
No. But what he's saying here, when he's talking about, obviously, again, he's going back to what he's discussing with the verses. He's discussing Christ, both his position, but also his likeness. Basically saying that he's coming in a very meek sense, yet it's still very powerful. And I'm not sure when you ask what our thoughts are, if there's anything in particular beyond that you're looking for, because for the most part is what it's saying here within the last few verses of 52 and the first few verses of 53. And it's consistent when you look at the beginning of John. John says in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, right? And that the Word was a light in the darkness knew him not. He came to his own people knew him not. Right here it says he's despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised and we did not esteem him. I don't know how many different ways one can look at that. It's pretty clear when we look at the story of Christ, that we're talking about God in all his majesty taking on flesh and coming as the one true living sacrifice to be rejected by the world and only accepted by a few. Now, one thing I do want to bring up that we were discussing the other day. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but people have said, I've heard people say, when they talk about the sacrifice of Christ, they're like, oh, we killed Jesus. And, I used to entertain that. People like, because there's like, oh, well, the Jews killed Jesus. I think it's a dumb argument in my personal opinion. Because even if we're looking at the fact that generation was responsible for Jesus' death, we are still in no position whatsoever to judge at all, regardless. So I think that's a moot point and an idiotic statement. But I will not lay responsibility to having crucified Christ. Now, can I say that I'm responsible for the circumstances that required a sacrifice? 100%. Would I claim responsibility, like as if I was standing in the crowd, jeering him, spitting at him, cursing him, and calling for Pontius Pilate to hang him on the cross instead of Barabbas? No. And I say that because I don't believe the individuals who were healed, who had demons cast out, who were forgiven, I don't believe they were standing in the crowd casting Jesus down. None of the apostles were standing in the crowd casting Jesus down. They abandoned him for sure. But they weren't jeering him. They weren't disrespecting him. And so what this says is that he was despised and we did not esteem him. I think there's a significant difference in saying that we didn't hold him in high esteem. not holding him in high esteem is totally different than throwing tomatoes at somebody, spitting on them, hitting them, cursing them. I think it's what the statement here is that we hid, as it were, our faces from him, meaning we avoided him. And that even in the moment of his need, he was not revered. And when I say the moment of his death, or I should say, this is after he had already resurrected the dead, healed the sick, already performed signs and miracles. He had fed 5,000 with 5 loaves of fish and 2 pieces, or 5 loaves of bread and 2 pieces of fish. Yet got no respect from the crowd. Was known by the chief priests to be an innocent man. Yet they could care less.
You know what's wild about all this, and since I've been kind of poking around in this and studying on this. So if you read through this, and you guys will see as we read through this, this is basically almost step by step the crucifixion of Jesus. You know, it talks about what's going to happen. This was written about 800 years before the crucifixion of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that fascinates me about Isaiah 53 is the first time I read it, and I'm reading through this, and I remember the first time I read it. It was years ago, and I was like, wait a minute, I reckon, holy cow, this is like step by step what happened to Jesus. I mean, if you go on, but he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities, the chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. And if you look at the translation, and just FYI, if you I've been looking at the literal standard version, which is pretty good. It's pretty darn literal as compared to, because I've been getting into ChatGPT and having it translate the actual that would be Hebrew, so if it was in Isaiah 53. And so like for example, by his stripes we are healed. I mean, yeah, he was flogged. Then like sheep we have gone astray, we have turned every one to his own way. The Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. I mean, this is like beat by beat what happened to Jesus. I mean, he was a sacrifice for us. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. You remember, guys, in the story of Jesus, before he was sacrificed, right after he was flogged, was it right after, Tony, was it right after he was flogged or before he was flogged, when he was brought before the Sanhedrin? And they were, or was it in front of Pontius?
It was before he was flogged.
It was before he was flogged, but both before the Sanhedrin and in front of Pontius. And I should have had like examples. They kept on asking him, are you the Christ? And he was just kept his mouth shut, yet he opened not his mouth.
He did say, it is as you say.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a few times where he was just quiet, and which is said right here. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers silent. He opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who will declare his generation? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people, he was stricken. And
hold on a second.
Go ahead.
So I want to back up.
I got excited, Tony. I'm sorry.
We're
I'm gonna need you to settle down a little bit.
4 through 6. When he talks about, 4 through 6 makes a statement, right? Before we even get to the end of him being beaten and then crucified, it already says there that he's bearing our iniquities, that he's carrying and is wounded for our transgressions, and that we are healed by his stripes. This is stated early on, because I agree with you. This is them walking us through his crucifixion, his torture and crucifixion, 800 years before it happens. The thing to me that is huge as I'm reading through this is understanding how powerful Christ was, right? So I want to point this out as we're talking about the fact that he carried our sorrows, right? That he was smitten by God on our behalf. When he looks up at the Father as he's hanging for the cross and says, Father, why have you forsaken me? Because at this moment, he becomes the sin of the world. So this person is carrying these weights on our behalf.
Well,
right?
Let me jump in there about the Father.
Hold on, let me finish my thought.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So he's going through He willingly puts himself through this, right? He says prior to this happening, he says, "No man takes my life; I give it freely. Or if I wanted to, I could call down 12 legions of angels, right? And this fight would be over." So he clearly articulates the fact that he has a way out if he chooses it. Yet we know that in the Garden of Gethsemane, before it even came to this point, he says, "Nevertheless, Father, not my will be done, but your will do." And his will wasn't that he didn't want to go to the cross simply because he wanted to avoid the pain of taking on our sins. It was because there was so much work to be done. Do we understand that God came down in the flesh with all his power, all his knowledge, and all his understanding, and stood by meekly, fulfilling the will and requirement of sin debt so that we can have eternity? I mean, this is important. When you going back to what you said about him not saying anything, he was quiet because he knew what needed to happen needed to happen. There was no need to talk about it. There was no need to give a defense. He was very clear and very succinct about what he said when he says, as you said, it is, right? He says, "It's not you who bears the greatest sin, but the person who brought me to you."
Yes.
Right. So this is the most powerful being in all creation, who humbles himself and allows himself to take on the iniquities of mankind. And the reason why I bring this up is in the next couple verses, it says, verse 7, it says, "He was oppressed and he was afflicted." I bring that up because if we look at what he went through, we understand what true oppression and real affliction is. There are some people who think that they're oppressed and they're afflicted today, and they are truly or not in the sense of what we see here. People talk about how difficult it is, and I would agree there are some challenges to walking in the faith. But are we oppressed like this? Are we bearing the iniquities of the world? Are we truly going through the afflictions that we deserve, much less the afflictions that we don't deserve?
Not even close.
At all, right? And so I think this is, I mean, you know, bringing this up, this is an extremely powerful statement. So I just want to highlight that real quick because I hear a lot of "woe is me" from certain people, and then there's a lot of oblivion from others. Anyway, I'm sorry, Doug.
No, I was just going to state that when you were talking about Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? That's Psalm 22. I mean, if you go back to Psalm 22, Jesus wasn't, because people will argue, and I've seen this before, like people arguing with street preachers and whatnot that say, well, why, if he's God, then why is he saying, "Father, why have you forsaken me"? He was quoting Psalms 22. And I mean, maybe we should go back and read that real quick. Let me pull that up. Psalm 22. And I think that's a good, I think that just comes up. Well, so one of the things you got to realize is back then people would, the Jewish people, they would quote the beginning of one of the Psalms just to reference it. They wouldn't, and then everybody would get it because back then they would memorize the Torah. So all you would have to do is say the first line, and then they would know that you're talking about that prayer about Psalm 22. And Psalm 22 is, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me and from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry in the daytime, but you do not hear. And in the night season, I am not silent, but you are holy, enthroned in the praises of Israel. Our fathers trusted in you. They trusted and you delivered them. They cried to you and were delivered. They trusted in you and were not ashamed. But I am a worm and no man, a reproach of men and despised by the people. All those who see me ridicule me. Again, that's a foreshadowing of Jesus's crucifixion. They shoot out the lip. They shake the head, saying, "He trusted in the Lord. Let him rescue him." That's whenever, and if you guys remember that, whenever some of one of the thieves on the cross basically says, "Well, why doesn't he rescue himself?"
So did the people in the crowd.
Yeah, so did the people in the crowd. But you are he who took me out of the womb. You made me trust while on my mother's breast. I was cast upon you from the birth, from my mother's womb. You have been my God. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Many bulls have surrounded me. Strong bulls of Bashan have encircled me. They gape at me with their mouths. And pay attention to this, because this is what the reason Jesus quoted this is because he's like, look, what's happening to me now was, because Psalms 22, I don't even know when that was written. He's like, it was already prophesied. And it goes on. They gape at me with their mouths like a raging and roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue clings to my jaws. You have brought me to the dust of death, for the dogs have surrounded me. The congregation of the wicked has enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. I mean, that's like obvious. I can count all my bones. In other words, his bones weren't broken. They look and stare at me. They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. The soldiers cast lots for Jesus's clothing. This is, to me, it's just super, super fascinating. All of this that was prophesied about Jesus before it happened. And to me, it's fascinating. Well, it's it's crazy that people get so, they start talking about, well, Jesus talks about the God forsaking me. No, he was quoting Psalms 22.
Hold up.
No, tell me. Tell me.
First off, I have a correction. Jesus was
Correct
not
it.
quoting Psalm 22.
What was he doing?
Psalm 22 was quoting Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Remember,
Sorry. Yes, you are correct. You are correct.
So David got that word from Jesus. So it is, in fact, Jesus's word spoken. Because who was forsaken? Did God forsaken David? Not ever.
Mhm.
Not ever. I would never leave nor forsake you. But who was forsaken? Christ was, because God withdrew from Christ the moment that Christ became sin. God withdrew from Christ so that he could draw near to us. So when Jesus looked up and said, Father, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? In that moment, he was human. He was sin. God withdrew contact from him, because at that point, Christ is now the sin of the whole world. Everything ever committed weighs on his shoulders, and God cannot touch sin. That was the sin debt requirement. It was so that God can engage in a relationship and that we can have fellowship. It was because Jesus became sin that the veil in the temple was torn.
So I don't disagree with that. So what you're saying is he wasn't quoting. You don't think he was quoting Psalm 22?
I'm saying that Psalms 22 is quoting Jesus.
No. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. But he was proving a point on the cross while he was suffering. He's like, look, guys, we already talked about this. Like 800-900 years with David, however long ago David wrote the Psalm. Correct?
I'm approaching it a different direction. I'm saying the point was proven when David penned the Psalm. Christ was the manifestation, but it's hard. It's hard to explain because, in our finite human minds, what I'm saying is that because Christ is and always is existed first.
He's the great I am. Yeah.
That this was an introduction to what was already established. Does that make sense? Psalms 22 is the intro to what was already established. So Jesus is not, he's Jesus being Jesus. But in the Garden of Eden, when God says, hey, here's what's going to have to happen. There's going to be enmity between your seed and hers. Your seed will bruise his heel and he will bruise your forehead. Talking about the Christ and the Messiah.
Exactly.
Right. Well, we know Jesus was there.
Yeah.
Jesus was there when that statement was made in the Garden of Eden. Jesus was there when David made this statement in Psalm 22. He is the one who gave David the words to speak.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but I also think that Jesus liked to kill multiple birds with one stone.
So let me ask this, because I'm going to what you guys are talking about. When I'm looking it up, it says Psalms 22 is written before the crucifixion.
800 years before.
Well, Tony's saying so. Look at 1 John 1. I mean, look at John 1:1. The word was God. Quote it for me, Tony. You're better at quoting scripture than I am.
The word was God. The word was with God. And
I messed you up now. Sorry, Tony.
Yeah, you did. I'm sorry. My head was in a whole nother place.
I already read
in the beginning was the word, and the word was
yeah.
God.
There you go. Thank you. Oh goodness.
Woo. Age.
But Tony's saying that God is the great I am, and so Jesus is. He is.
It's
like
constant.
capital I is. He's not in the future. He's not in the past. He's not now. He is, like, everywhere. So that's what Tony's saying. And so since Jesus was the word, Jesus, Psalms 22, that was Jesus. Yeah, he talked through David's mouth. David wrote that, but that was Jesus, is what Tony's saying. I agree with him, but I'm also saying that Jesus also was talking to the crowd. He was talking to those people. He was talking to his apostles that were watching him be crucified, because he knew right then and there that their faith was weak, and he was proving a point, I think. So I don't disagree with you.
What would you say that point is?
He's saying this was already foretold. I see where you're saying that he is the Word, and that he was there when he wrote the Word through David. But what I'm saying is that crowd that was literally there watching him, the people that were yelling for him to be crucified, he was witnessing to them, and he was reminding them, and he was showing them that he was the Christ, he was the Messiah, because they didn't necessarily believe, and they needed signs. And that was one of the signs that he gave them by telling them, by quoting Psalms 22. And they were thinking about that, and then they start thinking about it, and they're like, oh, holy cow, maybe we just hung the Messiah up on the cross. And that's true, because even one of the Roman soldiers after he was crucified said this had to have been the Messiah.
For sure, but I don't think it's because he said, "Father, why have you forsaken me?"
Well, no, I don't. I'm just using that as an example.
I mean,
I do feel like he was proving a point, not only to them that were there physically there watching him being crucified, but then to us 2,000 years later. Anyway, sorry.
Specifically
off on a tangent.
Psalms 22. I think specifically about that one. I think when he said, "Father, Father, why have you forsaken me?" I don't think that was for show. That wasn't for public consumption. That was a true statement or question made between Christ and the Father. And I think it wasn't made simply so everybody can see it. It was made because it was a requirement. Just like him going to the cross wasn't done as just to be a spectacle. It was done because it was a requirement. It was absolutely necessary. So I think that communication was a real communication. It wasn't just like, hey, let me show you guys that I'm going to fulfill the
But then that kind of proves the point of those naysayers that are saying that, well, if he was God, then why was he praying to God that, why are you forsaking me, if he was God? So
I think those people obviously are not in touch with the Holy Spirit, because we know what John says, but we also know when we've seen him up in the Garden of Gethsemane when he's had Peter, James, and John with him, and he's talking to Moses and he's talking to Elijah, and then God's voice sounds out and says, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased." Yet Christ will also turn around and say, "My Father and I are one. Anyone who knows the Father knows me. Knows the Son knows the Father." I think trying to break it down to a finite mind is extremely difficult. I mean, I've heard people explain it, even the three who were one, in comparing the human being, the body, the soul, and the spirit, that it takes all three to be one human being. You won't have a human being who is without a spirit, because if you have a human being without a spirit, you have a dead body. If you have a spirit without a body, you have a disembodied being. And I don't know of anybody, any spirit that does not have some form of a soul. And so we can try to explain it as possibly as close as one possibly can, and asking the question, why would Jesus be praying to himself if he was in fact God? But he was God the Son speaking to God the Father.
Not that. To your point, actually, like when he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he asked for the cup to be taken from him, if at all possible. But he said, "But in your will, Lord." So yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I kind of see both sides. I really do, and I get kind of stuck on that. By the way, hi Tito.
What's happening, fellas?
What up, Keto?
And then Gusto, you look super confused. Do you want to jump in here?
I lost track what y'all was doing about.
We're just yelling at each other. Don't worry about
it. I lost track what y'all was doing about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, don't worry. We're just yelling at each other. We'll get over it.
As I look it up, and I mean the things that I'm seeing, it kind of supports what Tone is talking about. Is Jesus taking on sin and humanity, and then,
well, for sure.
and the forsaking of him was the forsaking was the separation of the sin. And so everything I pulled up all kind of support kind of what Tone was saying here.
I don't disagree with Tony about that. I just feel like there was multiple things that Jesus was doing at the same time.
I don't disagree that there absolutely was. I'm harping specifically on that one statement. Father, why have you forsaken me? I could be totally wrong. I feel very strongly that when Christ made that when he asked that question, that was sincere. That was not a demonstration for everybody else.
It's just a little coincidental that it just you and then you go back to Psalm 22 and you read that and you're like, that's pretty similar to what's happening there, you know.
But it's like when Jesus said, "Hey, I've chosen 12 of you, yet one of you is a devil." Does that mean that when Judas went and he betrayed Jesus, that he did it for show? No, because it was prophesied, meaning it was going to happen. It didn't mean that doing it was there for spectation. You know, it was like, hey, I want you guys to see this happening, just so you know. No, Jesus said this is going to happen, and it brings up this conversation I've had, or I've heard, I should say, of people who thought that, oh well, you know, Judas is blessed because he did what God wanted him to do.
Well, I mean, Jesus knew he was going to do it, but Judas has the free will to do it. So
exactly,
go back to free will.
I mean,
it wasn't a demonstration. And I'm saying the same thing about Christ's statement on the cross. Because it was prophesied, doesn't mean that when he did it, it was a demonstration.
Well, but hold on. But he also healed the sick and
right.
He did do demonstrations. He did do things to.
Sure.
He was irritated about it a lot of times because he's like, why do I have to do this for you to believe in me? But he did prove points doing things like that.
100%. I just don't think
see him going so far. I don't know.
I'm
on the fence. I'm on the fence.
When you take on, I mean, first off, we don't know what it's like for God to withdraw from us. I think what Jesus experienced on the cross was a very sincere plea to his Father. I don't think that was for show. That's like me lighting you on fire as a demonstration, and you're screaming in agony, and it's like, oh no, this is just so everybody can see. Like, I told you, fire burns. Jesus was sincerely separated from God, which is something that you have never experienced. I've never experienced. I don't know what it's like to have that level of separation. I know what it's like to feel bad and to feel guilty. I don't know what it's like to be separated from God, to become the sin of the world after I've had myself beaten down, skin ripped off my body, horns drove into my head, you know, slipping on my own blood while I'm spat upon, weak because I've been bleeding immensely while I'm carrying a rugged cross on my back, then to have the one true living God, after all of that, pull away from me.
We're probably, and this happens to me and you a lot, we're probably saying the same thing and communicating it different. Honestly, I could see, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I can see it both ways. Anyway.
I think there's a requirement, but like I said, that Jesus, I guess the word came from Jesus originally, and then it came out of Jesus eventually. So
this is true. I agree with you on that. Yeah. We're in agreement there.
But I like what we're talking about here in Isaiah 53, because regardless, you know, and of course we're breaking down, well, for us, what may be a mountain, for other people may be a molehill. Of course, we like details, but I think what's extremely important about this is looking at what Christ went through and understanding the very stark contrast between the God that we serve and the God that the world serves. That the God that we serve not only tells us to deny our own flesh, but we see him demonstrate it to the point that he allowed himself to be brutalized and hung by his own flesh and to choke on his own fluids, right? To die a miserable death after hanging by his arms for 6 hours, having to balance himself on nails that have been driven into his legs and his wrists. And so when we talk about our struggles, I think there's a little bit of reverence that has to be given. You know, we talk about how difficult our struggles are. But we talked about the other week when Gusto brought up human nature. When we're asked to go heads up against our own nature. The example that we're following, because for me, I mean, having a couple Bible studies with some older people and looking at where their understanding is, I realize too much of us are receiving a watered down gospel. Jesus did not take a watered down beat down. He did not take a watered down beating. Like he took the full thing, right, all the way to the death. And today, we'll bicker about things that would by no means bring us to our grave, but we'll whine and complain. And here we have a God that laid everything down for us. We have people, and I thought about this when we talked about the chief priests in Matthew 27, that these chief priests didn't care about the fact that he was innocent. They didn't care. What they cared about was that he was interrupting their bottom line, that he was interfering with their fun. And that's the stark contrast of the situation that we're in today. Like either you are really with it or you really aren't. And when it comes down to the great throne seat judgment, that is what we will see. Those who have received salvation and have been redeemed, and those who haven't. There will be no gray area. I know it's a little bit of fire and brimstone, but when I think about Jesus getting beat down, like Jesus didn't take this beating for a possible maybe. Like he took this for a sheer victory. Right? And the gospel says that we share in victory with him.
And you gotta love it. The kid comes home, walks right in. I had to throw it on mute. He's like, "How's the podcast going?" Well, I don't know. You're talking on it.
Right. I'm still here talking.
Do you see the people on the screen?
The dog sleep right here. He like, y'all boring me.
He's getting his share of the gospel.
Always until his mama gets home. And then he got to go.
You left off on verse 9. Verse 9, it says, "And they made his grave with the wicked, but with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He put to him grief. And when you take his soul an offering for sin, when you make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the labor of his soul and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant shall justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will divide him a portion with great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he has poured out his soul unto death. And he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors." Intercession.
What's really wild is so like if I was looking into this, and apparently, so the Jewish rabbis, they basically said that Isaiah 53 is not talking about the Messiah, it's talking about Israel. Interesting, huh? I can't see.
Do you really want to talk about? Do we need to dig into that?
Well, no, I just can't. I read this and I'm like, how can they twist it so much that this is talking about Israel? This is like beat for beat the crucifixion of Jesus. So I don't know. Interesting stuff.
Because they think they're being crucified.
Because they would then have to acknowledge that the Messiah has come, and
they don't believe he has. Yeah.
Right. And so that to me, I'm glad you bring that up, because that was something I was touching on a little bit earlier. There's so many people who go to church for years and will read something similar to this and be told something similar to what you just said and believe that because that is all they understand. Right? You said it. You have a title. You're at the front of the building. You must know what you're talking about. And the scripture says, "For a lack of knowledge, my people perish." Right? God says this, that because people don't understand, they're falling by the wayside. Like this is a real thing. We don't believe we can go on our streets today and see how many people are possessed by various demons that are out here killing each other or killing themselves. And we have certain people in positions of leadership that will go ahead and continue to teach this very watered down gospel and keep people ignorant versus encouraging people to crack those scriptures read them for themselves, dig into it, and offer challenges. And it's sad because somebody would believe something like that, like, oh, they're talking about Israel. And so one of the conversations I believe like we were having the other week is I said, well, which Israel are we talking about? Are we talking about the people Israel or the government?
We were talking about that last week.
And I think that's a valid question because today the two are not synonymous. One may get that confused and say, well, aren't the people are the ones that prop the government? But no, you can't say that about the United States. We can't say that that this government is the government that we've all asked for, and it's the one that we all stand behind. It's the one indirectly that we all support, but all of us would love to see certain changes. And I know the government does not represent my beliefs, and so we can't assume that for anybody else, especially when it comes to reading the gospel. But I feel like this is one of the larger challenges that we have when it comes to addressing scriptures. A lot of us have been told certain things with no actual backing. Now, once you receive the gospel and somebody tells you the absolute truth, whether or not you accept it is totally on you. That's a whole nother conversation. And then, of course, we do get into those people who don't want to receive because it doesn't suit their preferences. But that's another topic altogether.
Okay, Gusto. It's your turn.
About what?
Well, usually you got something to say about this stuff.
I ain't nothing to say about that. I don't understand nothing y'all just talk about. Honestly, that's why I'm sitting here eating almonds to stay awake.
You just got stage fright, is what it is.
Ain't stage fright. I ain't understand the hell y'all was talking about. I mean, I got a couple excerpts that I understand. The whole the whole issue with the Father, Son, the Holy Trinity. That's something that I still, when somebody explains, I'll be like, okay, I get it. But left up to my own devices, I don't get it. Every time somebody explains it to me, I'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But left to my own devices to read, that don't make no sense.
Well, Tony and I kind of got off on a tangent, but what about Isaiah 53? What do you think about that?
I didn't understand shit y'all talking about Isaiah 53.
Really?
That's why I went up and got my almonds.
None of it, huh?
None of it.
I thought you would. Some of it kind of made sense to you.
You didn't see me do this?
You always do that.
Right.
And then you come with some bullshit.
Right.
When I come with the bullshit that you said that I come with is the shit that speaks to me that now I need to defend, explain, or get some kind of credence to the bullshit. So the bullshit that I understand that because y'all know I'm probably the most selfish individual on this line. If it don't speak to me individually, personally, I don't get it. Isaiah 53. I might have to go back and do some research on it.
I guarantee if you go back and you read through it on your own, you'll be like, oh, now you will. It's pretty straightforward.
Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and listen to a sermon on Isaiah 53. And let somebody else explain it and be like, oh.
Have you thought about changing the translation that you're reading it out of?
This is the easiest one.
No, it's not.
I thought ESV was the easiest one.
No.
E doesn't stand for easy.
Yeah. Well, Doug brought up, are you on Bible? Are you on Bible.com or are you reading out of your book?
No, Bible.com. I'm on the internet.
So try one of the amplified versions where Doug even mentioned which I had never looked at before, the literal standard version.
Literal standard version's tough. I'd say
I think one of the easiest versions I am aware of is this thing called asking questions. People will just be like, hey man, I'm not sure about verse 2. I was looking at that and it seems to me, and they give some feedback.
There you go.
And if his ass went to New Mexico, I'd be tapping on his, I'm knocking on his door like this.
No,
Hey, man.
you'd be asking a question. You'd be asking a question. That's what we're here for, to go back and forth and give feedback and then ask questions and give perspectives.
Yeah.
That works.
I mean, to me, 53 is mostly talking about this. This is the cost of your sin as people, and God and Jesus is here. He's taken on our sin and he's paying that price for us. And it's almost like it's showing us how bad they deem the cost of our sin.
Okay.
Toes gritted.
Come on, Gusto. Looking
I
extra studious. He's like, let me get
I'm right there
super
with you, Gusto, man.
studious on the.
I had to read this like 5 times just to even get a thought on it, because I was just I'm like trying to get it, and then as these two are talking, as usual, then things start popping into your head.
Now I may have more to say if I knew Isaiah 53 was going to be this discussion tonight.
You knew weeks ago.
It was on the chat. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. We said we were going to bring it up last week, and we went left field, which is what we do often. So if we say we're going to talk about something, don't take that as word, because we don't always talk about that.
Well, it does mean that you might have a couple of extra weeks to actually look over it and prepare.
So it's all gang up on
Or a couple extra weeks to
that's
forget
what it
you
is.
looked at.
That's what it is.
Well, I was thinking the same thing, Gusto. Just so you know.
we jumping you off the porch tonight.
It's okay. I got some fire waiting on y'all. I got some fire waiting on y'all. I got some fire waiting on y'all ass for those 2 clips you put in Gospel Gang.
Okay.
Which is what I thought we was going to be talking about tonight.
Oh, so you watched the clips?
I watched the clips.
Okay, all right. Well,
Did you read what I put in Gospel Gang?
No, I didn't read what you put out here.
He said he said what he always wants to say. He wants to argue.
Hey, so
I'm ready for that fire. This Isaiah 53. I'm just like,
but you can't stay. You can't get on topic and at least have a conversation about what we're talking about now before we transition.
I didn't know. Honestly, I must have been asleep 2 weeks ago.
That is a possibility.
Yeah.
That is definitely a possibility.
So there's something I want to point out real quick before we get too far away. Isaiah 53. So going back to what Doug pointed out, that this was written 800 years prior to Christ's crucifixion.
Okay.
Christ is the word. So this is Christ's word given to David. So here Christ is already forecasting what's going to happen to him, right? He's already through David letting us know this is what's going to happen.
This is through Isaiah, Tony. Psalm 22 is David. This is Isaiah. Psalm 22 is David.
Who's crunching?
Oh, it's Gusto.
No,
he's muted.
I don't know what that is.
It might be Tito.
Tito.
Are you typing?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you got to put it on mute, brother.
It's definitely Tito. You on your phone? That's why.
It's bad feedback.
There you go.
Putting it on mute doesn't fix it.
We'll try
Always Tito. Always Tito.
Always Tito.
There's a hierarchy.
You're the reason we started late, Gusto.
There's a hierarchy of fucking up. Okay, I'm here. Tito is a little bit. Tito is always gonna be fucking up on me.
It's not Tito. It's that 1 kilobyte internet he's got out there in the sticks of Florida.
Hey.
He pays at least $1.50 a month for that internet.
Hey. You gonna?
Oh yeah, you're in Florida too. Sorry.
Yeah, you gonna use back on that Florida shit, there, buddy. Especially since we let him come. He ain't from here. So we let him come. So
I actually tried logging in.
Yeah, we can't even hear you, bro.
We can't
hear you.
Yeah, I have to drop out and jump back in or something.
Sign language.
So my point, I apologize. I did get Isaiah 53 and Psalm 22 confused. So not to convolute it. My point is both of them are the word. So both came from Christ. In both cases, Christ prophesied about what was going to happen to him and why it would happen, but what he was going to say about it. And he still showed up. He showed up. He showed up for a very wicked and perverse generation, as he said. He showed up. He came through, right? As parents, we have kids that we can look at and be like, we know our kids are going to make mistakes. You know, we can look at your kids, you can see what they're going to get themselves into. And we still show up. In many cases, our kids have not let us down to the extent that we say Christ has, or that we've let Christ down. Yet he still showed up. I don't know why it sounds like somebody is dragging cellophane across the ground. Nobody wants to say anything because he's from a third world country. I get it. Don't want to make him feel bad.
Hang on, it shouldn't make him feel bad. So, okay. Hold on. I had a thought. You just messed me up.
Oh, it came and then it went.
Came in
Well,
the
you know when you start becoming a man of a certain age.
You are the oldest. You're the oldest one here, Gusto. So
Your wife older than me. Not
Yeah, but
yours,
she
that
act
no
younger
doubt.
than all of us. So,
That she do.
So, Doug, you really wanted to hit up on Isaiah 53.
Yes,
What
sir.
was your overall hope to pull out of it? Like, what were you looking for in it?
Nothing complicated. I just wanted to.
Nothing complicated.
No, it's actually pretty simple.
yeah, actually, as we're talking about, I think it's pretty straightforward.
It is, but I seriously, me and you disagreeing about like the Psalm 22 thing. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, because I wanted to hear you guys' perspective on that and see what you thought. And because I tend to really simplify things and take it to its lowest common denominator.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I talk to you guys about it, you guys are going to see more about it than I will. So Augusto, I guarantee you, if you go back and you read it and you kind of study up on it, you're going to come back and you're going to say something. I'm going to be like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. I guarantee you, that's the main thing. To me, Isaiah,
Next
again,
Tuesday.
next Tuesday. Me being as I like to break things down to the simplest thing. To me, I just feel like being as simple and as grounded in time as I am, as human as I am, to me, it's super fascinating that this was written by Isaiah 800 years before Jesus was crucified, and just like I said, beat by beat, that is what happens. You know, and then things that like verse 2, for he shall grow up before him as a tender plant. And going on, it says, he has no form or comeliness, and when we see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him, which is just saying that Jesus wasn't anything special to look at. And it just kind of gives me more insight into who Jesus was. And I know it's not important what he looked like, but it's like, well, you know, it's just very, very interesting to me, everything that you can pull out of Isaiah 53, because every time I read Isaiah 53, it seems like I see something new in there. And then this last time I was going through it, like I was using ChatGPT to help figure it out, and to get into it. And it kind of led me off on a tangent through, I was like I said, I was reading Psalms 22, and I was getting into the Gospels and reading, just kind of going back and forth. So really, that's what I was wanting. I got what I wanted to get out of it. Just the conversation between me and you, Tony, about Psalm 22. Us, just we're figuring it out. That gives me new perspective on Isaiah 53. It really does. That's why we're here, right?
And honestly, I think that's the first time I've ever read it.
Really?
Yeah.
First time you
I mean,
read it to me.
I've been very open about the fact that I've never read through the whole thing before.
I'm kind of getting just lately. I've been kind of because I've read through the New Testament time and time again. I've read through the New Testament a lot, but I've been drawn back to the Old Testament, and I feel like I just every once in a while I'm running into something like this, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, this is here. I can't, you know what I'm saying? And it happens quite often where I'm reading through and I'm like, whoa, I did not see what, because I've read Isaiah 53 a few times before, but it's just recently when I read it, I was like, wait a minute, that's what this is talking. Oh, holy moly!
That's why they say you're supposed to go back. You don't just read through the Bible once. You're gonna go through it because there's things that early on I find early on in a person's walk you may grasp in the Old Testament because the Old Testament is so carnal. Do this, don't do that. Very tangible, right? Very fleshy. Then you get into the New Testament and we start transcending the carnal, we get into the spirit. And then that takes, that takes an understanding of its own. Then you adapt that understanding. But in adapting to that understanding, you're picking up on those Old Testament lessons because you have Jesus and many other people in the New Testament quoting the Old Testament. Then you go back again and you look at the foundation of the New Testament and you have that greater understanding because it's almost like watching, what do they call it? Watching a series and you go back and you catch the prequel. It's like, okay, now I get the foundation they were laying now that I've been able to come back and take a look at it. So
yeah, the big thing I've been getting into lately is just it fascinates me going back to the Old Testament, seeing that the Old Testament, if you really read through the Old Testament, you think about it as you're reading through the Old Testament, the whole thing, and the Old Testament's a lot. It all points towards the New Covenant. It all points towards Jesus if you really look at it. And to me, that's just fascinating. I think that's interesting.
Yeah,
Gusto, you made a face.
I used a while back. I was listening to the Old Testament as I was at work, and I just fell off. I don't know why I stopped, but I stopped. A lot of it was listening to it after being engaged with you guys in Bible study. A lot of the stories I was listening to first time, it was going back to Tone and Doug stories that all Samson and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh snap! This is where they got that from. And then I would hone in. I would start to concentrate on what was saying. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's being in Bible study with y'all, then going back and listen to the Old Testament, I was able to make some correlations together. This whole Isaiah 53 thing, first time listening to it, so I have no firm reference. Next time we bring it up, I might have more to say.
Oh, you will.
Yeah, but it's me. I mean, but there's no mention of sexual immorality, so I'm just sitting here sipping on my drink, eating my almonds.
I mean,
if you want to talk about it, we can
get into that later. We gonna get into that at some point.
All right, okay.
I understood what you guys what y'all were discussing when it comes to when Tony, you were saying it was a real genuine question. God, why have you forsaken me? I didn't take that the first time I heard it. I didn't take that as something light. I took that exactly the way, Tone, you were trying to drive it on to tonight. That was a real, genuine, honest question. And the very first time I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah. He meant that. Like, what we doing here? Why did you do this to me? So, and then it goes back, and then we say something about the Holy Trinity. Holy Trinity has always perplexed me. And what perplexes me more than the Holy Trinity is the bridegroom, the church being the bridegroom of
the church
Christ.
being the bride of Christ.
The bride of
Right.
Christ.
Yeah.
The bridegroom is Christ.
Yeah. That it took me a minute to get my brain, but it's starting. As long as I have a good foundation, y'all read that?
Yeah. I just encourage you, like in because in many cases, especially when Doug and I start going back and forth, we're gonna go off into the wild blue yonder. I feel like both you and Ren represent the two different dynamics of other people who may be listening. You have the ones like Ren that are gonna be a little more studious, and they're gonna dig in there, and their questions are gonna be a little bit different, a little bit varied. And then you have ones like you who are more hands-on that need that, like, hey, wait, stop, come back. I need you to translate that into English, like my kind of English.
My kind of English and my kind of stuff that I may see on a day-to-day basis, because as we all know, I'm of this world.
Well, aren't we all?
No, y'all.
Gusto is whatever we are. Gusto is that much more.
Yeah, no, he's always talking
No,
about.
Gusto's on the other side.
If you are an oxygen breathing man, Gusto breathes more air than you. Just so you know, nobody breathes more air than Gusto.
So you trying to say I'm a one-upper?
Yes.
Only when it comes to the sin, bro. You be acting like your sin is just the word.
Nobody's ever seen it.
No, that's true. You're right. That's not. Stop. I know where you're about to go.
Oh, no, okay, yeah. He's about to tell us about it.
Boy, you better tuck that
no.
bitch. You better tuck it back in there.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna put that back in the sleeve. Yeah, you're right.
Uh-huh.
I'll put that back in the holster. I got a little beside.
Don't get shot now.
You got to beside yourself there for a second, though.
I did. I kind of came unglued a little bit. I'm collecting myself. My apologies, good sir.
There might be some children watching, so you need to stop. Yeah.
I'm gonna rein it back in.
All right.
So it's not that I think my sins are greater, except in the realm of sexual immorality. Y'all boys, y'all may be sitting at the pool with your feet in and your socks off. I'm like this in 12 feet. I'm going head first. Clothes on. I'm not even taking my clothes off. I'm just jumping in. And then
I would say the only difference between you and us is that we're drying off and you still in the pool.
That's actually
Hmm?
that's a pretty good look.
nah, I think.
See, he just
I think
can't
y'all
take
got
it.
in. I think y'all got in.
He can't
might be
take it.
some,
And did it-
there might be
and
some
did a
depths
couple
that
laps.
Gusto's been in that we haven't ventured in, but
Y'all done did a
that's
couple
not
laps.
bad.
Did a couple laps and like, you know what? I think I got a good understanding of swimming. I think I could do this. This is nice aerobic activity, but it's not for me. I'm gonna go over there. Me? Fish to water. This is what I was built for.
again, we're drying off and you're still in the pool. That's all it is. You can be splashing around. You could be, swimming on your back, spouting water out your mouth. Call it whatever you want to. We're drying off. You're still in the pool, my good sir.
Just out there raising.
And
And Doug's sitting on the outside of the fence with his hands on the gate, like, what they over there doing?
Jake's like,
Kinda
this is where I check out of the conversations.
Yeah. It kind of looked like fun, but I don't know how to swim.
I think probably the only, I would say maybe the only area where that might be somewhat applicably true is when it comes to certain matters of violent activities that some people have not dabbled in certain areas and therefore might truly have only been close enough to possibly spectate and observe. However, that's not what we're talking about.
No, we're not.
That's not what we're talking about.
I think that would be all of us.
But if you will allow me to go down the rabbit hole real quick, when I went and buried my dad a couple months ago, last month or whatever it was, buried my dad, shit got out of hand. Oh, I haven't told you the story. Ooh, my bad. Shit got out of hand. Rounds got chambered. And I'll tell you when we go offline. Rounds got chambered. And the aftermath, my wife said to me, I have never been in an environment that two people pulled out guns and everybody around act like it was just another day. I said, love, I apologize. I will try to keep you out of that situation in the future. But for everybody that was there, that was a regular day. My wife was like, what in the fuck? There were two people had guns. And everybody around was just like, oh. But when we get into the private sector, I'll go more into that story. I forgot I haven't told you that. I apologize.
So what was that? Just a preview? Like, was it?
Yeah, didn't mean to drop that on you like that, but
Yeah, everybody's like, "What's going on?" Okay, finish.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Is Gusto's old ass forgot that we live right now when he went into it. Let's just keep it real.
Oh my God, we about to go somewhere with this. He was like,
so no. Honestly, the reason why I haven't brought it up because I don't want to get yelled at.
What?
You,
You yelled at by who?
Tone.
Why is he
wait a
yell
minute.
at you?
He gonna yell at me.
About what? Where's this about to go?
When we get
He about to divulge some stuff. he about to divulge some.
No,
we're gonna be in for a long night.
when we done with the Bible,
Hey, we got your clip on deck, so hurry up. About to lock and load.
I know, Tito, you on the sidelines, man. I know you wanted to talk about something, but
What's that?
Tito had wanted to talk about something, but he wasn't able to stay on because of his connection.
He said he wanted to talk about something.
Yeah. I told him to get back in, but he's like, I'm gonna stay on this side because I guess he was still having problems with it.
Okay, I must have missed that.
It's
he did it. He did it in WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Okay. So following on what I was thinking about doing, it's kind of considering. I want to jump back into the Old Testament. Kind of want to touch on Genesis, but I was also thinking about before we do that, touching on one more of the Pauline epistles, a short one to kind of get a little more direction.
Well, okay, back up to Genesis. That's a big book. Like, which part of Genesis?
The beginning, sir.
Okay, the beginning of the beginning. Okay, that's a good one to
hit
look
that.
at. I like that one.
The reason why I want to do that is I know it's going to be kind of getting ahead of our those who are going to be tuning in. But because of all the discussions that we've had going through John, going through Romans, going through Acts, going through James, going through Matthew, I'd like to see when we jump into this Old Testament specifically with Gusto and with Ren, what they start to pick up out of it, what kind of dialogue we can generate. Because one of the things that has come up repeatedly within not the last couple months more than that, but definitely within the last couple months, is how we're seeing the same spirit of influence in these gentlemen in Jesus' time repeat itself today, which is the same spirits of influence that have brought themselves forward in the past. Abraham was dealing with some of these individuals. Noah dealt with these individuals, and so on. So I think it's since we've made our way through a good piece of the New Testament, to jump back a little bit and start messing with the Old Testament, man, and see what we can pull out of it.
I think
See if we can generate some more tough conversation.
Genesis would be cool. I got some ideas on that.
Oh, I listened to all of Genesis. Well,
Tony's just talking about what he wants to look at here in the next few weeks.
I'm good on Genesis. I got all the way, and when I tell you I was listening in the morning, I've gone all the way from Genesis
to Revelation.
I didn't get to Revelations yet.
Cover to cover.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Where's the I need. No, I got where? Traditional. I got all the way to
somewhere in Genesis.
No, I passed Genesis. I think I got all. I think I got all.
Leviticus.
No, I got all.
Numbers.
Deuteronomy. Shut up.
Joshua. Sorry.
You need help, man. You taking forever to figure this out.
I think I got all the way to. I need to look at Judges real quick, but I got all the way to a point where people start talking about family members and this is and that's why I started lost because it was just
family members.
They talk about family members in the New Testament.
Psalms, Proverbs. Settle down. Continue what you're talking about.
You don't know where he was at. He was somewhere in the Bible, y'all.
Somewhere in the Bible. But it was after Genesis.
And before Revelation.
Somewhere in between.
So hey, we got that clip on deck. I want to go ahead and throw it down so you can go ahead and bomb on it. I want to hear what you got to say. It's gonna be the second clip.
The second.
What my brother had to say is real deep.
Carry the same thing, but the problem with the men is, we give life, but woman gives birth. If I put my seed in messed up soil, what do you expect the harvest to be? So men, we got to do self-inventory to say, hold on, you fine, baby, but you're not refined. For me, you're cute, but you're not acute with the way that I look at information and process information. So then we're not going to be in alignment. So when you just saying, oh, she fine, she got to walk, but you're not hearing her talk. Yeah. You just looking at that walk. Yeah. And you get in trouble. And it happened to me. Okay, and I'm talking to me. Yeah. Right? Because I'm not casting my stone and throwing stones at anyone else. Right. I'm talking about the self-inventory that I do for me. See, most people don't want to do self-inventory. You can't call your baby mother crazy. She was who she was before you laid down with her, but you didn't have the discernment to see it because you was thinking with taste, touch, see, smell, and hear instead of intuition, discernment, and clairvoyance, which are invisible senses. They call it the third eye, but really it's your first eye. Your spiritual eye is your first eye. If you lead with your first eye, these two eyes can't be deceived. But if you lead with your two physical eyes, your spiritual eye can be deceived because the physical is an illusion. Period.
Okay. So first, I'm about to jump knee deep in this. All right. Very first thing, and I said this, Doug, you didn't read it in the group, but the very first thing it said, everybody can be that Monday morning quarterback, armchair quarterback. Looking back, you could look at all the mistakes that you've made and say, I shoulda, coulda, woulda done differently. Okay, that's the very first thing. Looking back, I could tell you all the mistakes I've made with all the women and every bad path, bad decision, bad everything I've done. Okay, but being a man, especially this guy here, who is one who lives by those five senses and not the third eye, those five senses, touch, teach, whatever. When you in it, when you are actively engaged with lust, temptation, all that stuff like that, you're not thinking about, I wonder where her mindset is. Now, especially I'm gonna say from 30 and below. 30 and above, you might start getting some your thinking might different. But 30 and below, come on, man. We all been 30 here. All right. Every one of us been 30. All of us been in our 20s. This dude sitting here talking about stuff that you should be doing. Ain't now 20-year-old, 25, 30 and below thinking like him. Not one. Not you. My ass.
You are
My
always
ass.
100% wrong. You that's an inflammatory statement that you can in no way back up.
Like I said, it's all.
You can't back that up.
Were you thinking like that at 30?
Was I thinking like that at 30?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But just because I'm not doing it doesn't mean that nobody else is.
We done with you. Moving on.
No, sir. This is not you pass the mic, sir. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're wrong. You can't just blame it because you don't have the strength to do it, or because I didn't say, well, nobody's doing it. I'm sorry, man. You're not God. You're not the prototype. You can't make that statement for everybody. You can't. You're wrong.
Okay. How many 25-year-olds that you know was thinking like this dude?
Okay, Gus. So just because, and this, God, I used to tell this to my kids. Just because I was stupid enough to do something stupid doesn't mean that you should. You should take my wisdom. Hey, when you do that, when you stick the fork in the socket, it's gonna hurt.
Okay.
You don't have to do it to know that it's gonna hurt, because you hold on though. But we got the good book that tells us, okay, don't stick your fork in the socket, by the creator of the universe. So if we have the good sense to listen to him, sorry. Anyway, go ahead, Gusto. I apologize.
You asked me how many I know of. So I know right now there's a few. I'm not going to say anybody's name on this chat. One person that stands out to me is so profound because of their sexual preference. Not only do they abstain from sexual contact, but they abstain from any form of intimacy, to include kissing, holding hands. And this person was battling homosexuality. So they didn't just say, I'm just not going to have intimate contact, but they're like, I'm not going to do any form of intimate contact. No, hold on. Let me finish my thought.
You said there was battling homosexuality.
The point is, when you say young people aren't doing that, yes, they are. And they're doing it for a myriad of reasons. I'm saying somebody abstained from all forms of contact.
That they were battling homosexuality.
Hmm?
Did I hear that part?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you done pulled out one out of your ass.
No, I got several, but that one in particular is significant to me because of a statement that was made to me about not just the struggle of being pure, but that struggle in particular, which I had the utmost amount of respect for, because it's easy to throw stones. Easy to throw stones at people.
Okay.
Especially when we got numbers.
Then let me be the first to say I apologize. When I made the blank statement says every. Can I amend that to say the majority of people 30 and below don't think like that?
Okay, I'll buy that one.
Okay. The majority of people didn't think like this dude.
Okay.
Because at that age, you have many things working against you.
Yeah.
Lack of emotional development. At some age, puberty and hormones gonna run amok in your system. You don't have the life experience that he has sitting at the age that he was, because he was clearly above the age 30. The life experience to say, hey, that might not be the best decision that I made. I should have dug deeper. I should have had more conversations. I would have, if I had more time, ask her different questions, or I would have liked to know how she was raised.
Mhm.
Most people fall into these same traps. This dude is sitting here talking about some stuff that he, or like you said, I'm including me myself. Yeah, ass. But you sitting here spouting your goddamn poems that you done wrote, because did you hear that a lot of shit was rhyming? This was an off the cuff conversation that he was having with this young lady.
Did you freeze?
No, did I?
Oh, okay.
Okay. This was an off the cuff conversation he was having. All right. This was this was poetry that he had written.
Mm-hmm.
And he was using this medium to get followers or whatever. I don't know his ulterior motives.
So are you saying that if we make a mistake, we cannot learn from our mistakes and pass that wisdom down?
Can I put your pause? Yes, we can pass that wisdom down. But when you pass that wisdom down, what's the likelihood of that next generation actually listening to you?
I don't think that's for us to guesstimate. I think what we're supposed to do is be obedient and share wisdom. And then once we pass that down, it's up for the individual who then has that wisdom. Because looking at Galatians chapter 5, verse 16, it says, I say then, walk in the spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one another. So that you do not do the things that you wish, but you are led by the spirit, you are not under the law. Now, the very first statement there is, if you walk according to the spirit, you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Now, I understand what that means is that we're growing and walking in the fulfillment of the spirit. It is a process by which that we are being sanctified by. And so if I think that God's word is null and void and has no value, then I'm just going to pretend like no matter what he says, I don't share the wisdom because nobody's going to listen anyway, which is how it sounds like. It sounds to me like what you're saying. That's why I say that, because when you say that, well, let me clarify real quick. When you say that, when you say, well, how many people are going to do it? That's not the point. Like, you share wisdom with your kids to share the wisdom, right? Am I right? Or do you only do it because you think they're going to obey you?
No, I do it so they don't fall into the same trappings that I fell into.
Okay. Whether they do it or not, you're still going to share the wisdom.
Okay.
So what is the purpose of saying, well, how many people are actually going to listen? That's neither here nor there. Somebody's going to listen.
We hope somebody's going to listen.
Well,
did you listen?
I believe
Did you listen?
somebody's going to listen.
Did you listen?
No. Well, what I got to do with DNA? Like, I mean, coming back and calling out my flaws, it does not justify your argument.
I'm bullshit. Don't justify my argument.
Because there's a lot of things I didn't do. Doesn't mean that we shut the door on opportunity. Like, if Anthony Broussard didn't do it, nobody else is. That's foolish. Then I'm just going to keep my
Broussard didn't do it.
On one hand, you're saying, hey, we're going to share the wisdom regardless. But then on the other hand, you're saying, well, did you do it? Well, what does that matter? I didn't listen. So I'm sharing from a place of failure, and I'll totally admit that. But that doesn't mean I don't share.
And what I'm saying here is, I think you can help me build my point. What I'm saying here is that even though the knowledge is shared, the wisdom is passed down, we still got to deal with those 5 senses.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because those 5 senses are going to, especially at that young age, those 5 senses are going to be more influential to our everyday decisions, whether it be money, women, alcohol, drugs, whatever. Those 5 senses are going to be more prevalent and have more influence than that third eye at 30 and below. That's my point.
I think
that I'm trying to make.
So I 100% agree that you're not going to take away the challenges of the flesh. But what I will say is that if we're instilling in our children at a young age,
your mother stays with you.
Sir didn't know. I don't think that, my parents covered all the bases, and I'm not putting the responsibility of my actions in their hands by no means. But, the types of conversations that we have now in the scripture are not like the conversations we had when I was younger.
Why not?
And again, I'm not putting that on them. It's not like my parents or my mom had all the wisdom. She's like, I'm just not going to share with you. But what I'm saying is, if I'm instilling, like, if I had young kids now, the conversations I would have with them about intimacy, about, self-discipline, because when you come out of the womb, you don't come out of the womb already looking to go and do certain things to certain people. Because if you remember, once upon a time, you were shy.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that.
Oh no, I want to tell those stories, but Gusto was a shy young man.
It was age 4 and below.
Gusto's a shy young man, and while I do agree that there are some things that are inherent for sure. But if you catch it early on, there's a difference between burning for something that you know and yearning for something that you don't. We may all have urges as young men. That urge didn't get out of hand until we actually experienced it for the first time, and then our brain knew what time it was. You can't be addicted to something you've never had before. And that's a fact. I don't care who you are. You cannot be addicted to something you've never had before. So can you teach somebody, can you teach them the value of discipline and control early on? Absolutely. Whether they choose to use it or not.
So we going back on a little bit last week's conversation about picking a person's mate if they don't experience the world.
That's why he brought up the video, Gusto.
Because
that's why he brought up the video.
I'm saying that dude in that video was full of shit. That dude in that video is full of shit. And the reason why I say he's full of shit, because like I said, when I said in the text, everybody can go back and say, I would have, could have, should have. Okay. But even him, face to face with temptations, the five senses, lust, all that stuff, even he fell victim to the same things that we fall victim. And I'm quite sure that his pastors.
Saying, though. But he's not saying that he didn't.
Right.
He's
saying
this
he did.
Is why. He's saying this
he's
is
saying
why.
he did.
He
said he did.
This is why.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, this is you get taken it personal because you're relating it to your own circumstances and the things that you've dealt with and the mistakes that you've made in your life. So hearing somebody else call it out and it touching home so much is making it personal for you.
I only respond when it's personal. I thought we figured that out by now.
but that's the point, right? You're taking it personal, which you should, because you have messed up. Period. Point
Several times. Yeah.
Probably tomorrow. Shit.
me and wife just discussed the future mess up that's coming.
But that's my point is when someone's calling it out and you start taking things personal, this is where you get to where you are right now.
Okay. I'm gonna try to understand what you're saying. Okay. I took it personal. Cool. I took it personal. But but I took it personal. His message was not.
Not what? Because I already have something to say to you.
I don't think his message was all that genuine. I think he did it for likes and comments.
Oh, you think? Okay, I can respect that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't sit here and tell you it is or isn't. I don't know who the hell he is, and nor do I give a damn, honestly. But what I am going to say is this: is what he said. Had you not been able to relate so much to what he was talking about, you wouldn't have looked at it as like he was personally criticizing you. The way you're going at it is like you're personally being criticized by what he's saying because it relates so much to your life. You know what I'm saying? But hold on, because I've heard your argument. He's full of shit. You messed up too, and this. But he's not saying he didn't. He's not saying that other people didn't. He's not saying that you didn't. He's saying this is why you did. And this is the message he's putting out there, saying whether you agree with his message or not, that's the message he's putting out there of, hey, this is why messed up because we're thinking using the wrong brains here. You took it as, hey, this is don't be criticizing what I've done. You messed up too. But he's not talking to you directly. He's talking to you indirectly, but he's not talking to you directly, and you're responding like he is talking to you directly.
Okay. I feel where you're going, and I can respect it, and I understand where you're going. I'm not so much concerned of his criticism about me, because I have very few regrets in this world.
Okay. So then where is your issue with what he said?
My issue is that I think he did it for likes, comments, and a following. I think he's full of shit. The message that he's given is there's some spiritual relevance, some spiritual relevance to what he's saying.
Yeah.
While that all can be true, can be true, but taking what he's saying for what he's saying, where do you see the problem with what he's saying? That's where the conversation should be.
Where I see the problem he's saying is his motives and his intentions.
So it's not the message. It's not the message you're worried about.
It's not the message. You're worried about his intentions.
Because the message has been like the message has been given many a time.
Yeah, he ain't saying nothing new.
He ain't saying nothing new. He ain't saying nothing new. He's not saying anything new. Heard this before, but the actual execution of what he's saying is a lot easier to look back and say what we should have done. Okay, you didn't do it. Nobody you ran with did it. So why
that makes no sense? That doesn't make any sense.
Of course, that's how we know that we didn't do it right, because we already saw that we didn't do it right. But that means that, one, hopefully I can get my son to do it right. Not a good chance of that. And hopefully the next go around I do it better. You can't fix a problem that you can't identify.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't understand why in something as important as selecting a partner. I don't care if you want to say that the person selected for you. We've had plenty of nights where those of us that have had previous relationships have talked about the sufferings of dealing with baby moms. So am I going to just keep silent when somebody else is getting ready to step into that pile of ants? Am I going to speak up and say, hey, here's what I messed up and didn't do?
No.
He clearly says, hey, I didn't do this. And in hindsight, I see where I messed up. Here's where I forgot to check myself. Here's where I didn't test myself. And I see that because we're not doing this is why we end in this situation. So we're just supposed to perpetuate the problem because, well, I didn't do it, so I'm not going to tell anybody else to do it. That doesn't make any sense. And they get upset because somebody's saying, hey, here are the notes from my failed exam. I'm going to pass them out there. Oh, but you should just shut up because we know you're doing it for likes. First off, you don't know what he's doing it for. You can't speak to that. You've seen a small clip of an overall interview, so you have no idea what his motivations are or what he got off of that show. That's you speaking from your own opinion about how you feel regarding your situation. He just made a simple statement that what we're doing is we're failing to exercise spiritual wisdom when choosing the significant other, and we don't realize is we're already stepping into a beehive, and then we're getting mad because we're getting stung. When in fact, those crazy people are doing what crazy people do. We just failed to identify that they were crazy. I think that's true.
Yeah, I would. The issue I had with some of what he was talking about, and it's more of what you just said. I didn't see the entire interview. I saw the clip. Right, is that I think he oversimplifies. Oh, you just didn't do this, and you should have been doing this. He's oversimplifying that to me. Because it's harder than that. It's harder than just going, oh, I should have been spiritual. Because we've talked about that. We've talked about you, Tone. You and I have had these conversations between us of feeling like we were being led one direction and finding out we were going the wrong way. Right? I think in that clip, he's oversimplifying it. It's not as simple as going, well, it didn't work because I was leading with this. not always. Sometimes you really thought you were going the right damn way.
Oh,
Well, I don't think
Ren,
that's over. I don't think that's
Ren, these are the days I love you. These are the fucking days I love you.
I think one can say that.
Listen to his clip though. He makes it very black and white, and it's not black and white.
Maybe we should watch the clip again.
No, we shouldn't.
I think what
we ain't got that much time.
What he's doing is, I think what you're saying is he's generalizing, and I would definitely agree that there's a generalization.
Simplifying.
But when he says oversimplifying, is implying that when he says we need to exercise wisdom, that it's just that simple. That's not at all what he's saying, right? When he says we need to use spiritual wisdom, there's a lot of implications. Now, you may not know what those implications are, but that is not an oversimplification of the step. That's just a lack of understanding on your part. Exercising wisdom means fasting, praying, studying, walking a certain way. So when he's saying, hey, we have to do these things, he's summing all that up in a very simple statement when he talks about wisdom, because wisdom doesn't just happen when you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth.
The reason why I say it's oversimplifying is
and we have a discussion. It's a practice. What he's saying is, if we get into a healthy lifestyle practice, instead of drawing it all out and saying we got to do all these things, right? And understanding when he says, because he's not talking to the new believer when he makes that statement, he's talking to somebody who understands where he's coming from, and say, hey, we have to exercise the spiritual wisdom, which means we have to exercise putting off the flesh. It doesn't happen in one night. We have to exercise prayer and fasting to seek wisdom and guidance. We have to exercise rightly dividing the word of God and proper spiritual discernment when it comes to coming into contact with people. That is a whole lot. But I
missed the part when he said that I'm speaking to the believers here. I missed that part.
He didn't say that. I think listening to what he says and understanding where
so now there you go implying of something that you don't know.
I listened to what he said. I listened to what he said. Clearly, by your lack of understanding, well, I'm right. Now, when I say that he generalizes, when he says, oh, the reason why we failed is because we failed to do this, we failed to do that, goes back to Ren's point. How do you know what I failed to do when I select my partner? You can't say that. How do you know that my interest was not sincere, that I wasn't just looking at her with my eyes and thinking that she looked good to my touch, that I did not exercise to the best of my ability as much sound wisdom as I could in selecting her, and still I failed? I think that's a generalization by saying that all failures are due to the same mistake.
I don't know where it's gonna go, but I'm gonna say something real quick. All the women that I was with, I honestly thought that I was making the best decision at the time. I thought they were the best fit for me at the time. And I know you like to say that I was out there being a sex worker and all, but
oh no, you were. That was your word.
No, put that out there. I agreed to it later, several years later, but that was you. All those women is I really thought that I was choosing a woman who had the same mental state that I was, and I thought that I was making the right decision.
What if? So I don't disagree with that. I don't think. I was doing my discernment. I was doing my thing. Now, was I sitting about it, praying about it for 2 weeks and fasting about it? Fuck no, I ain't got time for all that. No. I don't have the discipline for that. And when I go, I probably will never fast. I enjoy eating too much. I would really be careful about saying that.
I'm just saying I enjoy eating too much to fast.
So this God can be like, you don't think
I am a chef. What do chefs do? What do we deal with all day? Food. I enjoy eating too much to fast. It may change later, but prayer, I can get better at prayer. I ain't got a problem with it. I can get better at thinking and stuff. But stop eating. That was gonna be a hard one. But I didn't do all that when I was making my decisions about the women that I was with. But I really thought at each time, whether the ex-wife, the mistress, the girlfriend, I really thought I was
ex-wife's mistress.
It was
good one, Red.
There was no ex-wife mistress. Okay. Anyways, I thought that I was making the best choice at the time. So
here's an analogy I know you'll understand.
get to it.
And I remember this conversation we had a long time ago. I was talking to you some time back, and and you gave me some sound instruction. Very simply put, it was about frying an egg.
Yeah.
I was like, Gusto, I'm trying to fry. Like, how do you fry an egg? Like, I really want to fry a good egg. I keep messing it up. And you broke it down. He's like, man, you got to get you a skillet. That's your egg skillet. You don't cook nothing else in it. What
Nothing
egg?
else. Don't touch that pan, but
You
butter
broke it down.
and a spatula.
That's it. You broke it down. Like, I had to have a whole setup for the egg.
You want me to go show you my egg pan right now?
No, I don't. I see you
I'll
about to explode. Don't do it. Stay in your seat.
I just realized this is the first time he's ever done this in a room. He's not in his kitchen.
That's true. He's not
He's been in
making
the
food
room.
and drinks.
He's been in the room for the last couple of weeks, y'all.
I mean, last couple weeks, yeah.
Oh, how's it?
That's
I don't know where y'all been. Brother in the room, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she still sounds too loud. She still sounds too loud.
Mm.
Okay, but go ahead.
All right, we'll
So,
be hearing her
anyway,
in the background too.
You gave me these clear instructions for egg, because prior to that, I had been cooking eggs, but I had not been cooking eggs properly. And because of the improper preparation, I did not get the desired result. So one can say the same thing, like, oh, I've done all these things, but have you done them properly? Properly, once you get the desired result. That's all he's saying. And so at the end of the day, it's not, we're not, I don't think he's saying, hey, if your relationship failed, then you didn't try your best to make the right decision. But what he's saying is, at the end of the day, if it failed, there was more that needed to be done that you didn't do. We can always do better. And so it's a process. Now, you said, hey, I don't have time to fast. You don't have time to fast to get wisdom to choose the right person you're going to spend the rest of your life with and bury your kids with. Well, then we fall into the trap that all of us have fallen into of producing broken homes and broken families, and the nightmares that we talk about at night when it's just us in the circle, that many people in many other groups across the United States and probably the world repeat over and over again. So we're dying to do the same thing, but hoping to get a different result, as opposed to saying, okay, well, hey, what's the worst case scenario? And I say this because I understand. I know, right? I go on a 7-day fast. What's the worst case scenario? I'm uncomfortable for 7 days, seeking the Father's wisdom and asking for guidance. In the worst case scenario, after the 7 days, is that I get nothing, and then I just go back to eating. That's the worst case scenario. But the best case scenario is I fast and I grow closer in my walk with this God that I serve. And those questions that I'm asking, maybe one, maybe two, maybe all of them, are answered in a manner in which I have a tangible answer that I can totally believe is going to work out according to his will. So what do we lose if we try to do what it is he's talking about?
Our minds.
Only if your mind.
I just had to check in the wife to see if I was being too loud. She was like, I'm not in bed. I'm in bed, but I'm not trying to sleep. So that means I gotta tone it down. Gotta turn the volume.
You might have a minute on you.
She says I'm loud when I'm in here. I said, you arguing with Tone. Blame Tone.
You're colored. But I guess, I understand what you guys are saying in terms of it's not as easy as it comes across. I feel like he's saying more than what may show up on the surface. He's implying more than what's on the surface. But another thing I do want to add to this video.
Go ahead, get it to me.
And this is the element of grace, because one thing I do hear a lot of, I mean, we have a responsibility as believers to manage our conduct, right? To demonstrate the love of Christ, to demonstrate God's grace and mercy in our lives every day to the best of our abilities. But God's grace is also demonstrated by God in that we don't get it all right. I didn't with Shantae because I was like, Lord, I was in there fasting, I was praying, I was seeking God, I was weighing in on wisdom. No, I stumbled and failed because Rand tripped me.
Plus, your boy set you up, though.
Because Rand tripped me.
Your boy set you up.
Pushed me right into that. We lost you, Rand.
I hope your wife is watching so she knows how the bullshit you talking. See that? Now it's I tricked you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he set you up.
Set up. Hey, how do I sound right now?
You're better.
Good.
You're coming in and out. That mic right there, you just gotta be kind of closer to it.
Yeah, every time you lean away,
I gotta switch the direction on it. When I switch the direction, I don't know why it switches itself back, but my fault. I'll pay better attention. But yeah, I'm saying that because while we're given our marching orders, God's grace and mercy extends even beyond that. And I just, I myself hear a lot of people preach messages where it's like, oh, this didn't happen because you didn't do that. That didn't happen because you didn't do this. If we read in the New Testament, when Jesus was casting out demons and healing the sick, those people weren't walking perfect in their faith. That's why he showed mercy. They didn't deserve what he gave them. He extended grace. So I do think that there is definitely the element of God that's in there. We do have to do our part, I believe, but God's grace and mercy endureth forever, and we are not going to make a lie of the Most High. I disagree that it's BS though. I will strongly disagree with you there. So.
Hold on. You're fading that, so I didn't hear you. You disagree.
Oh, did I? Did you not hear me?
You're fading out. Yeah. Hold on. What was BS?
I said I disagree with your statement that it was BS.
The clip?
What he said in the clip, yes.
I'm gonna stand fast on that BS shit.
I know you were just because
it's me.
Because the keeps it spicy up in here.
Man,
I'm not.
I wish Mike was in here so he could recall us having to yell at you in the studio about getting closer to the damn mic.
So
you keep coming in and out. You better
attach my phone right there to you.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that the whole clip was BS is because he's not addressing. Well, hold on. I don't know how to put this. Hold on. I got to defend myself. Because if I say something, he's gonna jump right on me.
I'm waiting to jump on you here. So I'm just saying. I'm letting you know.
Yeah, but the messed up part about it, when you jump on it, you usually jump on my side. So
no, I don't.
Bullshit.
I jump on the side that needs to be jumped on.
Okay.
And the reality is this: I understand to an extent of what you're talking about, but it's not that it's BS because the information he's saying isn't even groundbreaking. I'm sorry. It's nothing. It's nothing just mind blowing.
No, it's not.
Like I said, for me, I just think he talks so matter of factly, like it's a simple thing. It's a simple process.
Like you said, it's simple thing, black and white.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that the overall message that he's putting out there has some relevancy to it, because there are a lot of relationships and a lot of situations. I mean, how the hell do you think you got so many damn baby mama, baby daddies? It's because you weren't getting into it because you were getting into it for that woman. You were getting into it because you were getting into it for getting into that woman.
Yeah. That's how Trinity got here.
And so there's relevancy to what he's saying. I take issue with how he comes off as making it seem like, well, if it didn't work, obviously it's because of this. Not necessarily. Not necessarily, bro. So I get your Monday morning quarterback on that, but I think you're completely wrong by saying the overall message is incorrect.
Okay. I'll back my bus up, tuck my tool up on that one.
So
Overall message is something that we've been hearing our entire lives. Okay. And oversimplification of that is as easy something that I have taken his message and I want to say put a modern day spin on it. Well, speak to the youngsters in everyday vernacular, to everyday language.
look, so we're running a little bit long, but
Okay.
what I'd like to hear then, since you think it's so much BS, how would you put that message out? Because you also partially agreed with it earlier. So based on your situations, what's the advice you would give your son?
Ooh, that's a good one, Ren.
What I was asking my son
About avoiding the same mistakes that you made.
I have none. If you would put a gun in my head right now, sit me come. I said I ain't got nothing.
So let me ask you this: could one of those things be, hey, get more in tune with this person that you're messing with before you
No,
start messing?
no, because and the reason why I shut you off and say no right quick, because my son and my daughter's mother for 2 or 3 years showed me the person that she wanted me to see. It took about 3.5, 4 years for her to completely get exhausted of portraying that person, and then after year 3, it just started crumbling because she couldn't maintain that tempo anymore because that wasn't a person that she was. So the real person came out around year 3, and at that point I was like, I really don't think I want you, because you are not the same person that been for the last 3 years, and you're not the same person that you said you were before you met me. All lies. So
that's going to kick off a longer discussion. So I'm a rebuttal later. Because we can go for a while on that, because that instantly kicked off some thoughts right there.
Yeah, I'm good, and we could do that anytime. But my ex-wife was not the person that she claimed to be.
So many people are very much that, but like you said, I mean, there's more to it. One thing I would leave us with is reminding us that, we who believe, right, serve a true and living God who knows all things, to include the character of each person, which goes back to the point that this gentleman was making when he said that your 5 senses can be fooled, but the spirit mind can't. So if we're leaning into the spirit, the correct answer would be to grow in relationship, walking with Christ, that he would lead you where he would have you, so that you would avoid situations like these. Now, we are the ones who are flawed in error, which means we're still susceptible to mistakes. But hey, man, if I'm walking according to Christ and allowing the Spirit to be my guide, it's a good chance that no matter how much of a good smoke screen a person puts up, God is going to see right through that and lead me accordingly. Right? That's what we pray and we hope for.
But which voice do you listen to?
Well, that's where we're gonna do some more studying, sir.
Oh, okay.
That's part of that whole development with relationship.
Right.
Which voice do you listen to?
Right.
I mean, without putting in the work, it's just like I brought it up before. I mean, right now it's a foreign language to us, but so you got to put in that work if you're going to ever be able to translate that language. If you're going to be able to communicate 2 different languages, you got to put in some work. And So you're
Well,
not going to get everything right.
And it sounds like you're doing it, Gusto, because you said at work I'm starting to listen to the Old Testament. I got through. You couldn't figure out where you were in the Bible, but at least you were in the Bible.
Yeah.
But hey,
Somewhere where they
doing it.
tell names.
Like
Somewhere
I
where they
said.
give names of family members.
yeah,
Like
there's
I
family
bring
members
up
in there somewhere.
Yeah. Like I bring up all the time, though, that, obviously it's the first time we're streaming this. It's Gusto who got us started on this.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
sure.
Tone threw it out there, but nobody responded.
Well, and then
Gusto was
Gusto's
like, "Hey, I want to learn this." So
Gusto's the
it's
most
crazy if it comes
consistent,
off. Yeah.
and he's the most consistent person on here.
And
Because he
the
showed
most consistent offender. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
Repeat
No.
offender.
No, that part may or may not be true, but
right.
it's just it's a fact. So
Man, y'all
this ain't about
got
perfection.
issues. Y'all got issues.
It's a work in progress.
Psychological. Yeah.
We are most assuredly a work in progress. And one thing I do want to echo on our first live stream here, even though we're winding it down, is the reality of the conversations we have. These are the conversations we have. A lot of people, I feel like when talks like these come up, they want the person to already be refined. They want the person already to have the answers and not to give pushback. We're supposed to. We give pushback for so many things, and talking about sexual immorality is just one. Heck, when we talk about the traditions of man that have permeated the church, we have people who are celebrating holidays that are not at all holy days at all, and people give pushback on that. I get it. I expect it. Like, you've been taught to believe this thing, and all of a sudden somebody's challenging it, and here you thought, this was acceptable, and now I'm telling you, or somebody else is telling you that it's not. Well, you want to see proof of that, and not just read it, but it needs to resonate within you. So, we have the dialogue, and it's an ongoing dialogue. And at times it may take a whole lifetime for that seed to really take hold and then produce fruit. We don't get to make that call, right? Paul says one man waters, one man plants, another man waters, but it's God who gives increase. So that's what we're here for. We're looking for the increase of God, and not in the most prettiest of pretties, but in the most roughest of roughest, right? When we go through the streets, it's not, the quiet, kept, neat corners that need the gospel. It's the deepest, darkest corners in the hoods that really need the gospel. We can't have these conversations amongst friends and people who share commonalities. We most certainly won't be able to be out there in the street delivering the message to those people who we regard as strangers. So we do definitely appreciate everybody else who's tuned in, who's walked that walk with us tonight. Had a bunch of people up here. My godmother's up here. My boy Junior's up here. Tito's up here. I haven't seen too many other people check in, but big shout out to everybody. Appreciate y'all showing love, and share your comments, send your questions, engage with us, man. We'd love to have y'all.
I don't see any of that. Why don't I see?
Don't worry about it,
It's not the only
Don't
thing
worry
you're
about it,
blind
Gusto.
at.
Don't worry about
Hey, hey, Dave. You know what, Dave?
Right, y'all gents want to close out with
Close us
any
out.
shout outs or?
Nah.
Nah, I got no shout outs. You can close out with a prayer.
Yes, sir.
Sure. All right. There goes.
I can't hear you over the music.
Talking to the mic, Tony.
I'm talking into the mic.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can't
okay,
play
now
the
you're
music
talking.
and
Now you're
talk.
talking to the mic.
Like
Okay.
my keyboard player came up there, was trying to kick us off. The choir leader
Started playing.
Yeah, do the prayer, and then you can play the music.
right on. We'll close this out, man. We'll take off from here. I love you, brothers, man. Appreciate y'all coming out.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
For all those who supported, man, we love and appreciate y'all as well. Father, we give you thanks as you bless us with this opportunity, Lord, again, to take on such an important platform and chance to share with other people as we minister to each other, as we sharpen each other, as your word says. Father, we ask that the bread that be broken tonight, Father, that be well received, that those seeds that were planted, that they would take root, that as we would go forth, Father, we would produce fruit that is worthy of your love, worthy of the sacrifice that was laid down for us. Father, we pray for all those that have heard us tonight and all those that this message will reach. Father, that you would till the soil and that they would become fertile and that they too would produce in your name. And now we would celebrate with them in the return of our Lord and Savior. And in his name, these things we do pray. Amen.
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 Next Tuesday, gentlemen. And can somebody give me a shout out on a gospel gang on WhatsApp? What we gonna talk about so I can be prepared?
1 Timothy chapter 1.
I'm good. If you change up, I'm coming at you. I'm gonna fly all the way to New Mexico, slap shit out you, then get back on the plane and come back to Florida.
I want to see it. I'll be waiting by my front door.
All right, boys. Love you, boys. I'm out.